The transformation to parenthood is life-changing. It is something that will be so different than you imagine it will be, and it will impact your life, not just the first day you become a parent, but it will impact your life every day until your last breath. Initially, when a woman is pregnant, her breasts begin to make colostrum, and there's really no way to duplicate that. And the colostrum is what we call the first milk. So when a woman is pregnant, her body begins to make the colostrum, and then when she births her baby, those first few feeds are sharing that colostrum. It seals the gut against germs and allergens. It's very, very high in immunity factors. And then over the course of the several days, a woman's milk slowly transfers to become what we call a mature milk supply. And when we look at the health benefits that come from feeding our human babies human milk, it spans our lifetime. It helps children to know faster when they're full, and what that does is it sets them up for healthy eating in their later life. It also sets them up so that they're not morbidly obese. And so those are some of the things that make human milk special. Sometimes women are told breastfeeding is going to hurt. If it's excessively hurting or just really uncomfortable, that can be for many different reasons. Some of it is as simple as having a shallow latch, and that's something that many different breastfeeding helpers could help you with. Breastfeeding can look very differently for lots of different people, and it's not just a woman that has birthed her baby, and it's not all or nothing. We help women and men, actually. We help families chest feed. And in that case, it's about their personal goals, what breastfeeding or human milk feeding means to that particular family. Similar to that, in the case of adoption, some women and families that adopt want the experience of breastfeeding. Many adoptive moms we work with what's called induced lactation, and we prepare them, even though they're having a surrogate or they're adopting a baby, we prepare them to be able to breastfeed, and that starts several weeks and months before their baby arrives. And so then those adoptive moms, some of them bring on a full supply, some of them bring on half a supply, and then that supplement would help to fill the child's need for nourishment. Sometimes within same-sex couples, in regards to chest feeding, sometimes with a same-sex couple, they've waited so long to have their new little one join their family, and so then they're just thinking of different ways that they might bond with their baby. And certainly chest feeding is one of those that same-sex couples can do. So chest feeding would be where we would have the milk or the supplement, and some of those same-sex couples, they will have donated milk, or they'll buy milk from the milk banks, depending on their area, if that's available. A lot of them will get into milk sharing and just kind of get connected with women that have extra milk they'd like to donate. Sometimes same-sex couples have dear friends that are also breastfeeding at that time their own children, and they pump for those same-sex couples for that new baby. So it's really quite an exciting and cherishing time for them. And so then in that context, it may be one dad that wants to experience that relationship with the infant and child, and sometimes it's both, and it's certainly something we can do. And then the same thing with the same-sex couples where there's two women involved. Sometimes one wants to breastfeed and sometimes they both do. And so that's certainly something that registered lactation consultants are excited to help them reach their own personal goals. For someone who wants human milk for their little one, they seek out what would be called informal milk sharing. And so how they would access that is typically starting with friends and family, and then often on Facebook, there's groups, Alberta Eats on Feets, Human Milk for Human Babies. They need to have a conversation with the donors, and they need to be able to talk about their health and talk about what medicines they might take. And it would definitely be a mutually agreeable exchange. So that's kind of what informal milk sharing is about. And then the Mother's Milk Bank, it's just been researched by Jeanette Festival. And Jeanette is an IBCLC. She's a registered lactation consultant that was working at the Foothills. And she was able to just be exposed to some really, really sick babies. And she was able to witness how human milk just really brought to them health and vitality. At the milk bank, all the milk is tested, the donors are screened. The other thing that makes human milk banking a little different from human milk sharing is that at the Mother's Milk Bank, all the milk has been pasteurized. It's a great resource. We have such a wonderful outpouring of support for that, both professionally as well as private donors. And then there's the donors that actually donate the milk. And so that's always very exciting. The other thing that people may or may not know about the Mother's Milk Bank is when they do have a surplus of milk and the very fragile babies, their needs have been met, then some of that milk is given to adults that have stomach cancer or other things, and so it helps them along their journey. Human milk can't be duplicated, and while there is the nutritional value in it, there's the immunity value in the human milk. There is the live hormones that set up a person for life. Artificial infant milk is, thank goodness for it. I mean, gosh, where would we be without it? It has its place. It absolutely does. In regards to a family that needs to have artificial infant formula, there's lots of ways that they can build that bond with their infant during their feedings and their nurturing and their growth. Sometimes we feel passionate about the way that we have chosen to breastfeed or we have chosen to parent, and we can really kind of not always be aware of our language and how that might just crush another heart of another parent. And so I think it's really great for all of us to realize that everybody wants to be the best mommy and daddy and auntie and grandma that they can be. But that might not look the same in every family or every home. And we can support women by talking to them about what are their goals. You know, certainly a woman who has severe postpartum depression, it is in that child's best interest that mom gets the help she needs, and maybe she breastfeeds, or maybe she needs to take a break from that for a while she addresses some of her other things.